saying thank you guys so much for coming. I know that sometimes y'all have other things planned or other things you get, or trainings y'all can do, and I really appreciate y'all coming. Smiling, good attitudes. It helps out. It means a lot to me. It's a pretty straightforward C-need. It's a little bit of practice and a little bit of update. So I want to start this by saying I'm going to start this with saying a couple of the lessons learned. So this curriculum started off with Rescue 3. We started taking it years and years and years ago. We transitioned to the Reset curriculum, and even since then, in the last probably 3 years, we've really honed in on what seems to be working. Before the past about 14 months, we dive on people and we wouldn't have a whole lot of success on those dives. In the last 14 months, we've made 2 pulls, so I feel as though we're going in the right direction. There have been a couple of updates to the curriculum, but the 2 polls tell me that one, what we're doing is working, and let's continue on the path, right? So we've gone from an instance of a no frequency discipline to an instance of this is happening low to moderate frequency, like I said, 2 in the last couple months or 14 months, and then also a lot of dives that we've had to do in addition to that. So I'm going to discuss a couple of the lessons learned on those 2 incidences. The first things first is we used the Aquai on both situations. When we did our sweep, we got an O. So in an absence of an X and a no point last seen, we will be diving on O's. That is artificial intelligence. It's not infallible. In fact, depending upon how the body is presenting, whether it is upright or floating hunched over, something like that, it can present as an O, as an object. Sometimes you'll have a lot of O's right on top of one another, and it presents as a single O once you release the trigger, and that's a O of interest. Okay, so like that's this could be something. So if you do your scan and you release the trigger and an O remains present, that's an O of interest. Does that make sense? So we are going to be diving on O's in the absence of anything. Another thing that we realized is we send our vicinity search out. We have 2 to 3 divers searching on our wagon wheel. We'll kind of discuss not the update, but the refresher for that. But we have our 3 divers swimming on that wagon wheel. And then as soon as we set up the line, the swimmers merge into that line. They tend to go to the point of the line that they're closest to. I want you guys to think about, take yourselves back to when you went through this class and you had to dive over and over and over again, and that's a kick in the butt. It is really, really difficult, and you need to be prepared to dive at least 6 times straight. That's probably conservative in a lot of cases. So what I'm really looking for is that vicinity group to feel into the shallow portions of that line. If there are no shallow portions, if it's all 12 feet or deeper in some cases, you have to do what you have to do. But ideally, I want that vicinity group to feel into that shallow portion. It works?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It never happens. Where'd you go?
Here you go. All right, so in addition to peeling into the front portion or the shallow portion of that line, I want my line count starting from the outside, so the furthest away from my line boss. 2 reasons for that is because 1, I want, as a line boss, I don't want to have to remember if that's a 1 or a 2 and who I'm looking for. So if I remember that's a 1 and I know I'm looking for a 1, all the easier. The second reason is once you get to a little bit further out, it's getting difficult to communicate with those. So if I, for whatever reason, have to recount or I need to get their attention for something, it is way easier for me to talk to this dude. Oh, what'd you end on? You ended on a 2. Let's fold in my vicinity, guys. 1, 2, 1. You ended on a 1, 2, 1, 2. Does that make sense? So it's easier to communicate with that shallow guy. That guy's gonna stay a 1. He's always a 1. Cool. Another thing that we kind of realized, and this was a little bit of a deficiency in the curriculum, mostly I think due to the fact that we hadn't ever really had successful pulls before. In consistent ways. So when we were teaching the curriculum, you'd find your body, you'd pull them to shore, and you drop them there, and you move on, and you go out on into another scenario. This is a training scar we're trying to avoid, and what we've noticed is towing a victim has been a lot like 4 crews loading 200 feet of hose. Everybody is touching the hose. Everybody wants to load 3 feet of hose. It's the same thing. You have 12 dudes zooming on the victim and the rescuer, and everybody's like holding his hand and holding his foot or whatever the case is. This just doesn't need to happen. So our update for tows is when I pop up with my victim, and pop my vest, I'm gonna be inflated with my victim. I got him. I'm gonna have 2 tugboats grabbing the straps of my PFD, and they're gonna be tugging me along while I'm kicking. Everybody else is gonna zoom to shore, strip their fins, strip their mask, get whatever they need to do to receive the victim. If they've already popped their vest, I want that off. I don't want anything impeding my way to get my victim out of the water. Does that make sense? So it seems intuitive, but everybody wants to zoom to that victim. So that's just an update that we're also trying to work on, and we're gonna demo that here shortly. Cool. Before I get to the trajectory search, that's the new search that we've kind of added to the curriculum. I want to discuss a couple updates. Can I see your name, please? Historically, we've called this the point last seen buoy, or just the dive buoy. We're going to think of this as the depth finding buoy. This is only depth finding only. This is a great point in Austin to kind of demo what happens here. So if you look across the lake or the river or whatever you want to call it, you can see what the current looks like, where the current looks like it's going, the top current. And we know where the bottom current's going, and it's kind of it's contradicting each other, right? This buoy does not stay put. Most of these lead weights, they just drag on the bottom. They don't catch. They're not like the spider weights. So this buoy is not going to stay in the point last seen. Does that make sense? So our point last seen is our oriented swimmer staying oriented to the shore. All this is a depth finder and depth finder only. Cool? Another update to the curriculum is when I'm the middle of that wagon wheel, when I am the oriented swimmer. You mind jumping right here? When I'm the oriented swimmer, my eyes are on shore oriented to my triangulation cones. If I don't have triangulation cones, I created my own triangulation and my eyes are on shore. Dive. I'm going to stay eyes on shore. He's going to pop up. I'm going to turn around, dive, and I'm right back to shore. Historically, we had kind of this action. You're going to go over here. Okay, dive. Great. Dive. And then we start corkscrewing away from the point last seen. So, as the oriented swimmer, my job is orientation. If these guys need me to direct, I can direct. But ideally, my 2 divers know that we're going in a pinwheel, wagon wheel, pizza slice, whatever you want to call it, orientation. Distance and a half out, 3 feet over, 3 or 4 feet over, coming back. That's what they know they need to do. My job is to stay oriented to the shore. Cool. The first day that we did this, we had 2 pontoon boats with 40 people blaring music. They were having fun. It looked like a lot of fun. I definitely wanted to be a part of that. It was a great time. But what I found and what everybody knows to be true are these scenes are a lot more chaotic than this right now. So when I'm discussing with my oriented swimmer, even at the distance like me and Matt or me and Mike, that is going to start to get hard to communicate. You saw with just the wake, I'm having to shout. So when I do my first dive size up, I'm the oriented swimmer. I go out, I drop my buoy, I'm good to go. It's in the green, or it's like just in the red, whatever you guys decide on as a captain and as a crew. I do my first dive size up. I come up. I want to know if I'm good or if I'm not good. Is it a go or is it a no go? I'm not going to say sandy bottom, no debris, no current, visibility is great. I'm not going to do that because you're not going to hear it anyway. So I want to know if I'm good to start sending my divers as the line boss. That's all I want to know. So that's another update that we've discussed and then we're moving forward with. Cool. I'm gonna move on to the trajectory search before I just give you guys a little bit of refresher on the vicinity line vicinity to a line. We've gone back and forth as to how to move forward with our Aquai. We have this really great piece of tech. I want you to think about it as your ticks, okay? So it's a tool, it's not everything, right? It's not infallible, like I said. But what it does do is it provides us a very targeted location. So Russ, if you see something on your tick and I'm with you, we're on that rescue together, and you see something in that master bedroom, you're not gonna be like, hey Wags, go into the master bedroom. Find what's on this tick. You're gonna be like, Wags, right there. You see it right there. That's where I want you to go. It's a targeted search. What we've seen is people go out on an O or an X and they started their vicinity search. I don't need a 36-foot circle to find what I know is right there. So we developed the trajectory search. Aquai came out and they told us, well, this is what you need to do. You need to carry a 50-meter spool of rope on your unit, and you're gonna swim out so you know exactly how far. We decided that wasn't necessarily something that was going to be conducive to the environments that we work in, so we developed the trajectory search. What that looks like is, as I get my hit, I got an X. I have two divers. I'm going to say it's 12 meters out. I have two divers side by side. Again, this is a targeted search. I'm instituting a catch net. My two dudes are a catch net. That's all they are. And I'm sitting. They're going to walk out until they can't reach. They're gonna mask down until they can't see, and then every other one up, one down, they're gonna do their duck dives until they hit about 5 meters past where I think that dude is. And I'm gonna do another. Does that make sense? So once I do that, I'm either affirming or confirming or denying that they're in that location. And every single time they pop up, their eyes are on me, and me as the Aquai guy, am the oriented dude. They're making sure they're on the right path. We'll demo that so that if you can't see it in your head right now, we're going to demo it, and I think you're going to understand. Another update that I missed, we're also going to be diving with snorkel out. If you're one of the dudes that, has always dove with their snorkel in, you're a really, really good diver, and you can say, Wags, like I dove 100 times last week with my snorkel in. I feel really good about that, and you can do what you need to do. We're moving forward with a snorkel out. We don't practice enough to dive with our snorkel in for people to be confident and competent under the water so that when they come up, they feel like they have enough air to spit out the water and take a deep breath. So just even in the CE, we've had a couple of big gulpfuls of water. So we're just minimizing that reality. We're gonna dive without our snorkel in. If you need to swim with your face down or you need to do a long toe, by all means, let's use our snorkel. But as far as diving, we're not gonna create an open pipe to our lungs. Awesome. Let's give you guys a little bit of a refresher on what I'm expecting for this vicinity search and into the line search. What I'm looking for is controlled urgency. All right, so we're getting out to the water pretty quick. We're talking about 20 minutes on keystroke. I know that we all know that might extend a little longer if you feel good about us picking somebody up, but 20 minutes on keystroke, so it's going to be pretty quick. All right, so I'm going to have my oriented guy swimming out to the point last seen. My officer is going to start dropping his triangulation cones. I want you guys to think, so if this is where my witness was standing, I'm going to start here, drop a cone, and create a single plane to my oriented swimmer. What I'm going to do, in an absence of another witness, I'm going to create another plane to gauge depth, okay? So what this plane, what this plane does, this is my second set of cones, at least 15 to 20 feet apart. What this secondary set of cones does is it helps with the depth on this first line. So so the oriented swimmer is the tip of the triangle, and the back cones are the other two tips. We're using that so that oriented swimmer can stay on the point last seen, and the officer doesn't have to keep correcting the drift. Cool. So we're gonna send him out. The swimmer is gonna go straight down, straight out, distance and a half, and then straight up. When he pops up, it's a 3 to 4 foot move to the left. I don't care if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. Y'all figure that out yourselves. 3 to 4 foot move to the side. Another diver will then dive down, pop up, 3 to 4 feet to the side, and continue along that wagon wheel or pizza slice, whatever you guys want to call it. Cool? Does that seem familiar? Awesome. Once we get more resources on scene, we're gonna fold into a line search. So that the other officer on scene is gonna be like, hey, what do you need? Oh, you need a line search? Cool, I'm gonna get my guys out there. They're gonna start swimming out there. I don't want them to give up on this vicinity search until this line is set up. Once the line is set up and like it doesn't look like a cluster, that's when like, hey, my line's good, or you start hearing these dudes start counting off, that's when these 3 fold into the shallow. I want this line set up because I want faces underneath the water as much as possible. Cool. Again, this is our primary search. We're kind of expecting that we're only going to cover 70% of this circle. This is our secondary search. I'm not missing anything. All right. So if I have my ones, can you line up? If I have my 1, 2, 1, if I have my ones dive, pop up, and then I have, and Gurners is short, I'm backing up, okay? Because I am not moving him forward because I'm missing this. This is my secondary search. We're covering 100%. And we already have enough problems with our crisp dives that I don't feel good about moving him and missing that spot. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. Did I miss anything? Oh, yeah. Yep. Thank you. Yep, all of this stuff. Actually, all of this stuff. Yeah, all of this stuff. All right, a couple comments on the dives themselves. We've always used kick counts as a distance judger, and it is very difficult for everybody's kick to be the same distance, so we're going to start thinking about it as a second count, 3 to 4 seconds under the water. It's just helped with keeping everybody a little bit more in line, and the distance is a little bit more stable. We want to make sure we're going straight down. We've seen a lot of dolphins, so that means like we're coming forward to go down. If you don't know how to go straight down, do a little quick back kick to go down and make sure that because we're missing that 2 foot. Does that make sense? And if we're on a line, that's our secondary search, we're not missing anything. So if you know that about yourself, do a little half kick back to go straight down. After your dive, when you pop up, I'm looking left and right so I can orient myself to my other diver, and I know so my line boss doesn't have to tell me to move backwards or forwards. I can go back myself. I'm also looking for that dude. I'm the one up and one down. So if he's down and he's down for a long ass time, then I know he either is not okay or he found something. So those are things that you need to start thinking about. And the last thing is minding your distance. We've seen a lot of this, which if our visibility is I'm reserving this for those crystal clear beaches in Florida. All right, this is a very, very long distance. So what I'm kind of more looking for is more a shoulder width apart or even an elbow. But what I want to minimize is when we go down and we're doing our pulls with our arms, I'm missing all of that space. So when you go down and you're kicking is your propulsion and your arms are your search. And your head is your search. Your kicking is your propulsion and your arms and head are your search. Awesome. Cool. All right, we're gonna do a demo on the trajectory search so that y'all can kind of cement that in. We're gonna also get in the water and then demo on the toe, and then we're gonna break into 2